Hi, Kitchen Kings and Queens. Okay, so today we're gonna make a cupcake with a low sweet icing. Not low sugar, low sweet. Okay, so that is something that I've been looking for. I really love a frosting, a buttercream frosting that tastes really buttery but doesn't have all of the sickeningly sweetness that a buttercream usually has. So we're going to make the cupcakes. We're going to use a yellow cake recipe, but we're going to make it a Confetti recipe by adding some nonpareils and some jimmies. And unfortunately, the jimmies that I have here are like a pastel color, so it's not ideal. I would have preferred just your traditional rainbow jimmies, but that's what I had on hand. It is snowing like a snow monster out there, so I can't go to the store, and I'm not going to go to the store just for that. Okay, so we are going to continue using our Sunbeam Food Center. We're going to use the mixer function, and we're going to use both the large bowl right now, and we're going to use the small bowl later to make the icing. So let's get started. So it's going to be a double vintage appliance day because we're also going to use to bake the cupcakes. Instead of heating up the oven, I just spent the better part of yesterday cleaning that oven. After the Pizza Palooza, the oven was a little run down. It was smoking, as you saw from the videos. So I really wanted to clean that oven. So I got a little jump start on spring cleaning, and I cleaned the oven. I used the electric cleaning setting. So I am not going to mess up that beautifully clean oven. I also want to wipe it out a little bit more too and really make it shine before I call it done. So I'm going to use this opportunity to use this really cool MasterChef muffin and cupcake bakery. So in order to use that though, we have to preheat it. So it has to preheat for 10 minutes. There's no indicator light, you just plug it in. So we're going to put on the timer for 10 minutes and then we're going to start that. We're also going to use that timer because we need to cream the butter and the sugar together. So I have the mixer preset to its suggested speed for the creaming, which according to this mixer, and that's one of the things I really love about these mixers. It has all the functions, and older mixers had that. So for cream, it's at a 9 speed on the mixer. Okay, so we're gonna make sure we get all that. So it's a half a cup of butter, which is 1 stick of butter. Then we're gonna add our sugar, which is a cup of sugar. Just regular old granulated sugar. And then we're gonna get that started. I'm going to let this run, so I'm going to explain what I'm going to do so you can hear me. I'm going to put a cup and a half of cake flour, 2 teaspoons of fast-acting or double-acting baking powder, and a teaspoon of salt. You only need a teaspoon and a half, but my baking powder is a little old, so as a insurance policy, I'm going to put both of them in there. Okay, so I'm going to just, while this is going, I'm going to put them into the sifter. This is a Bromwell sifter. They're really good. And I'm just going to sift it into this other bowl because we're going to need to add that in part by part. So I'm just going to let this run and do my sifting so that you can you're not going to miss anything. Stop this. This is about halfway done, and I just want to scrape down the sides of the bowl just so that we make sure that everything gets incorporated nice and fluffy. Okay, so I think we're good. So we're going to go change it to mix or combine actually. And we are going to alternate with the dry ingredients. Actually, we're going to do an egg and then a minute and then an egg and then a minute. Then we're going to put our dry ingredients in and our half a cup of milk. That we're going to alternate one at a time. Then we'll finish with our vanilla, and the very end we'll just incorporate our jimmies and nonpareils. Okay? So let's add our first egg. There's our first egg, and you saw that I was using the paddle. That's one of the good things about these mixers is that you can use the mixer to incorporate the materials without messing up the mixer. So because the mixers are kind of to the side, you have this flexibility and the flexibility and the space for you to use the paddle. Okay, so we're going to add the next one. Okay, so now that's added in. Now we're going to start incorporating alternating versions of our dry ingredients and our milk. Okay, so we'll start with the dry ingredients. We are almost done. Our preheat is done. So now we're just going to finish up, and we're going to add in the vanilla and the nonpareil and Jimmy's, and then we're just going to combine that. So that's that. We are done. Our oven, our grill here is preheated, so we can just move on to the next step. Okay, I'm gonna release these beaters. We're gonna remove our container, and we're actually going to use the the cupcake liners. Okay, so we're going to put them in there and see how they come out. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wells in here. Okay. And you want to fill each cupcake container half of the way full. I'm sorry, not half of the way, a third of the way full. Okay. And we should get 15 cupcakes. So that would be like 2 of these, or I'm sorry, 3 bakes in this machine, okay? And this recipe is actually made for this. It comes with this mixer, or not the mixer. It comes with this cupcake machine. Okay, so I'm actually going to use something else cool that I found. So When I was going through my grandparents' pixel iron, which I'll do later, I found this really cool tool that is basically a spoon, but it has a little pusher, so you can push off all of the filling. So this is like the perfect size for these cupcakes. So I'm going to use that and see how that works out, because it's helping me not get so much on there. Oh gosh, oh gosh, oh gosh, oh gosh. All right. Got a little cocky there. Oh boy. Okay. That one may be a little bit of a problem. So it kind of went into the liner a little sideways, so that one may be a problem, so we'll see. But this is my first time using this this cupcake and muffin maker, so I'm excited to see how it works, how well it works. And there's just a couple that are a little less than 2/3, so I'm just gonna top them off and close her off. Okay, so that is that, and let me check and see what the bake is. Okay, general baking time is 7 minutes, so we'll put 8. Okay, so we're gonna do 8 minutes and see how our cupcakes come out. So we'll be back in 8 minutes. Okay, Kitchen Kings and Queens. So these came out really good. This is the one that was a little sticky because I messed it up. But even that one came out. It did stick, and they did stick on the top. So I did forget to spray some no stick spray or rub some butter on the top. So I resolved that issue for this one. But I have to say, this thing really came out with some pretty impressive results. The cupcakes look great. They have a nice cake, nice done. They're not brown. I'm going to leave these in for 10 minutes and see if you get a little darker, but they are fully cooked and it couldn't have been easier. So I'm going to show you up close how I did this so that you can see how this thing works. Okay, so we're going to incorporate our batter, and I'm using that slide thing in there, that slide, you'll see it in the video. So it's a measuring cup and it slides the batter off. You just want to do like what I did there. You want to make sure that you don't do what I did the first time and kind of plop it off to a side. You want it right in the middle there, like this. Oh gosh, oh gosh. Here I go again. So don't do that. Okay, I'm gonna just take that out. Kind of shake it in, and then we won't have that problem. Okay, so there's, if you do it like that, these liners, they just kind of, they kind of have a mind of their own here with this thing. Okay, but if you have really good control and make sure it's right in the center, you should be good. Okay, and this scoop, man, this thing is perfect. It is the perfect size for these. You want to kind of like, oh, there we go again. You want to kind of make sure that it is overfilled. Okay, so these first couple, I'm going to just put a little more into. just to make sure that they're the right filling. Okay? And that's it. And then you just close it up and set the timer. So we're going to set it for 10 minutes and see where we're at there. Okay? I'm going to come back and we're going to start this icing because it requires a couple additional steps and some time. So we'll be right back. Okay, Kitchen Kings and Queens, we're going to start this very interesting recipe for no or low sugar frosting. This is from a site called Recipe Tin Eats, and it requires warm milk, which we have over here. So we have a cup of heated milk, and we're going to add to this pan, which is going to be our working pan, we're going to add a cup of sugar and then 5 tablespoons of sifted all-purpose flour. Okay, and I apologize, my stove is getting a workout, so it needs a little cleaning. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to mix this for 30 seconds, and then we're going to start adding in the milk. So essentially what we're doing is we're making a roux here, and that's what we're going to add to the butter, but we got to let it cool, and that's going to make our frosting. Okay, so this is I've never seen a recipe like this. Some of the other ones that I was looking up had where you can do like egg whites and stuff like that, but this one had really good ratings, so I'm just gonna try it and see how it goes, and then we're gonna go from there. Okay, so I'm gonna whisk constantly, and then I'm going to start adding the milk. Okay, so we want to make sure that we don't get any lumps. Okay, so I'm just gonna whisk as I add this milk. We don't want any lumps in here. Okay. So after each incorporation, and it's good I'm doing this whisk because the milk had kind of a little bit of a skin on it, so we were able to catch that into the whisk, and that's gonna make sure that we get that smooth thing. So keep an eye on your milk when you're heating it up. Okay. And we're basically, you know what? We're not making a, well, we made a roux first, but now what we're making is a custard. I'm going to take that little part out. We're going to lower this actually. I'm going to take that part out too. So we got a little caramel forming in there, and we do not want that. We want this to be nice and smooth. So I'm using kind of a thicker, kind of a higher flame here. So we're going to keep whisking this until it starts to thicken. And then we're going to cool this mixture. Okay, so as soon as it thickens, we're going to take it off. We're going to let it sit on the counter, and then we're going to put it in the refrigerator. So we'll be back in about an hour when the cupcakes are all cooled and the icing is made. So I'll show you how to make the actual icing with this, and then we'll frost these cupcakes. Okay, so this is nice and smooth. And take that other one and put that in the sink. Okay, so we're getting thick now. Yeah, that's exactly what we're just making, kind of a base of a custard, because we need the eggs if we wanted it to fully be a custard. Okay, but this is getting thick now. Notice how it's thickening up a little bit, and it looks like I I missed a couple of pieces of the caramel that were forming in there. That's okay. I think it'll work out. But this is what we're looking for. Okay, a thick mixture. So we're just about ready to take this off the heat. Okay, so see how it's just kind of getting thick? We're going to turn that off because it's really bubbling. Okay, see how it's thickened up? So we're going to take it off and we're going to put a little bit of plastic wrap on there so it doesn't form a film. Okay. I'm going to do that now. And when you do this, here I'll show you on there. You want to make sure that your plastic wrap goes right down to the surface of the caramel, or I'm sorry, the custard, because that's where the skin forms, okay? All right, you don't want any air. You know what? I'm gonna wait because this is very hot. It's making the cling film very flexible. So we're gonna let it cool and then we'll put the cling film on it before we put it in the refrigerator. Okay? Okay, Kitchen Kings and Queens, we're ready. So we're gonna put our 1 cup of butter into the mixer, and we just are gonna cream that butter, and then we're gonna add a tablespoon at a time of our, we'll call it a roux mix, okay, to the mixer, okay. But first we got to get this all situated. Then we're going to add the vanilla, and then I'm going to show you how I like to ice the cupcake. Okay, so we're using the smaller bowl now, still using the beaters, and that's all there is to it. Okay, so I'm going to turn on the mixer. That our okay, now we're going to start adding in our mixture here, 1 scoop at a time. Okay, so that's going to take about a minute, and we'll mix it in and then we'll incorporate it. Okay. Now we're going to scrape down the sides here because there is some that didn't get incorporated. We want to make sure it gets all incorporated and whipped. Okay. And then we're going to add the vanilla. I'm going to move it back up. Okay, so we got our nice fluffy light icing, and I'm going to show you how I like to fill this bag. You need a tall container. This is like a beaker. I think it was probably for a French press coffee maker, but it fits. It's perfect for this, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to put the bag and fold it over, okay, so that you have this surface. Then we're going to get our icing. We're going to release our beaters here. Get as much of this icing off as we can. And then we're going to take the rest of it and we're going to put it into this piping bag. Okay, and you want to try and get it down as much as you possibly can with the spatula. You'll be able to squeeze it down. And this icing is great. The consistency is very similar to like a whipped cream, but it will be like a much more fortified whipped cream. All right, so we have a little bit more than we actually need. So I'm going to take this out and we're just going to kind of shake it down to the bottom there. And notice I kind of left, sorry, I want to show you this. Notice I left a lip to fold over here. Okay, that will help make it easier to maneuver this piping bag. Okay? So you don't want to fill it all the way up to the top. You want to fill it up so that you can squeeze this and then you can decorate. Okay? So I'm going to show you with this cupcake. You just, however you want to do it. I'm just using like a star tip here. Okay? So that's my first one. The first one's always just like with the crepes, they always come out a little, it's not the best one. Okay, so you want to kind of start with a border, fill in, and then top it. Okay, so this icing is incredibly easy to handle. It's really got a great texture. It's easy to maneuver in the bag here. It's not runny, but it's not like really heavy. I'm really pleased by this. And you saw me do a little chef's test there. It came out really well. The icing has a real mild sweetness. It tastes delicious. It's nice and buttery, but it's not overpowering. And once it's in the freezer, it's going to be, or I'm sorry, not the freezer, but the refrigerator. These are going to firm up even more. I'm sorry. My body is, I just went out and shoveled because I hate shoveling. But I have sidewalk, so I have to shovel. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. But it's so cold out, and I am so underdressed for being outside. And then coming back into this roasty toasty house, because my furnace is like extra, running extra hot. My body's just not really knowing what to do, so it's sweating. Okay, down to our last couple. Perfect. We had just enough frosting. So this, I think you could call a winner in every way. The icing is perfect, it's buttery, it's sweet. Our cupcake maker worked amazing. And of course, our Sunbeam Food Center was a workhorse. I don't know if you saw this or not, but the mixer started dancing towards the edge. It almost fell off. It's got a lot of power. And I think if they used the same manufacturer that they did for their food processors, which I think they did, this probably has a General Electric engine in it, which is really great. Okay, so I hope you try these. I hope you enjoy them.